Leave it to Bigme to sneak one in right before the end of the year with their final release of 2023, rounding everything off to a whopping 10 e-readers released this year. This is the Bigme B751 e-note. A lesser-known subline of their devices called the Pocket Note, with the release of the Pocket Note 7, has existed alongside their Wacom-enabled mainline units. You can think of this as the second-generation Pocket Note. It features 64 gigs onboard storage with an SD card and physical page turn buttons. A subjective downside to the unit is the fact that it only utilizes an active capacitive pen and does not have enabled Wacom. But there's more than just the negatives, so let's dive in. So as per usual, before we turn it on, let's go ahead and weigh it, and then we'll look at what the design of it all is. 209 grams, that's actually lighter than some Kindles, so that's already boding quite well for them in that regard. Now, as we said in the unboxing video, this is a beautiful looking e-note. This is great. There's a ton of different design elements going on here. You get this nice speaker grill here with these ovular holes. You get a gunmetal that wraps around the front, that also shares with the physical page turn buttons, that contrasts right in between the dark black and the light gray clay here, where the ledger is. Also, as you saw in the unboxing video, you can use this left-handed or right-handed even in the case, so that's also very nice. The back is black with this cool little grip strip. There's a fair bit of fingerprints at the back, but that's kind of what you have to deal with when you have non-textured backings, but it breaks it up a little bit with this nice lines here, so that's pretty nice. You do have a power button up top, and you have an SD card down below with a microphone and a USB-C with status indicator light. Now, here's the bad news, everybody. There's no Wacom on this. We only have an active capacitive pen. So you would twist off the back. You don't have to charge it via USB-C, that's a, well, silver lining, I guess, but you need to use a quadruple A battery. And yes, we're not making a mistake. It actually is a quadruple A battery. This is not triple A, this is quadruple A. 4 of them. You can buy this at your CVS pharmacy or your Walmart or London Drugs or Superstore or whatever country you live in, you'll be able to find them. They're pretty universal. Now, if you tap this and turn it on, you are faced with a lot of the exact same UI elements as you'd see on any other Bigme unit. You have this sidebar here that moves up and down and actually is isolated from the rest of the unit. As you move this up and down, it doesn't refresh or affect any part of the other portions of the unit, the top bar or the main screen. That's really nice. Now you can press this and there's a ton of settings. Much like Hanvon or iReader, they give you a ton of settings. I'm not sure why they give you so many. I mean, it's only positive because it's better to have something and not need it than to need it and not have it. There are some manufacturers that give you so little settings that you don't have a lot of customization, but this one has a ton. You even have page key definition, so you can use them as volume buttons. You can use them as D-pad left, D-pad right, page up, page down. There's a lot you can do on this. You can do home style screen, you can do office style, tablet style. You have menu management where you can turn off or on the things you want on the side, and you have menu spacing adjustment. Bigme definitely does go above and beyond to give you every conceivable feature, from the outside of the actual specs and the buttons all the way to the overall functionality. They do give you everything. You also have this, which is what you live and die by, honestly. This is the eink center. This is where you have HD 256, HD, normal, and extreme. You also have refresh frequency and auto clean on or off. So with that out of the way, let's dive into some content. Because this is a 7-inch, it's actually the exact same size as manga you would get at a convenience store, for example, in Japan. So let's check it out. You have the physical page turn buttons that work on everything. This is Google Play Books, and it works perfectly fine. Now you'll see there's a little bit of a delay because of the page turn animation, but this can be mitigated by going over to here, over to the eink center, because you are definitely going to live and die by this mode. This is normal mode. You can change it over to extreme mode, in which case it becomes so fast and smooth. It is Bigme and Onyx have been essentially fighting for top spot when it comes to refresh. I don't know if they're ever going to get to the point of Dasung or Hisense, these two guys, but they're definitely up there in the top 3. if anything. Now, overall, this is a very good manga experience. It's very fast, it's very crisp. Even in extreme mode, that looks beautiful. We've seen a lot of manufacturers that when you go to an extreme mode, the degradation of the overall image just gets too overwhelming. But this one, we're in the fastest possible mode. It actually begs the question, what does the HD 256 with grayscale look like? Oh, that looks gorgeous. That looks absolutely phenomenal. 300 ppi on a 7-inch is what you need. We've seen some devices, even Onyx has just released the Air 3, and that only had 227 ppi. And then you go back to something like this, and you just get a little bit of a refresh. Yeah, it's a smaller screen, but the pixel density is numbers don't lie. Pixel density is pixel density. But what we need to look now at is a book. To keep things fair, we're going to keep this on normal mode for the ebook experience. And my goodness, I gotta say, just rapid. Wow, that's quick. Look at this. Well, there you go. And it's accurate too. It's not doing any more or less than I want it to. You have a bunch of different settings in the ebook experience. You have format, you have font size, bold text, fonts, more. More gives you the ability to pinch and zoom, refresh, and widen the margins. You have spacing, you have others, you have Chinese display, page display. You also have progress. You also have contrast. You have split view, which you are able to do when you want to take notes on one side, translate. This is a good one too, I must say. This is a very good one. Dock and translate. What this is actually pulling from the book on the left, and you can translate it to automatic detection to other languages. So I have a book that now it carries it over, and within a second I've broken down all of the language barriers within this book, and it's live. As I swipe, it just does it. So I swipe again, it's going to translate Portuguese, German, Italian, etc. And it's all live. So you could read a book live as you're turning pages. You don't even focus on this side, just focus on the side with your language on there and just swipe away, and it automatically gets translated within a second or seconds. I absolutely love that feature. I also like the half and half drawing, note taking. Now Bigme does have this on a lot of their other devices, but the reason it doesn't really work on a device like this is because it's quite small. But that's not really what you're buying this for. You are buying this because it is a pocket-sized note taking experience. Now you see the pen doesn't work right out of the gates. You actually have to click the front one, much like Boyu, much like the Mi Book, etc. And then you can start drawing on there. But we're not going to spend too much time on that. We're actually going to move over to the note-taking dedicated pad, and then we will have a better indication of what note-taking is like. I've never liked active capacitive pens. This isn't the fault of Bigme. It is a way to get a cheaper price point out of devices. I hear you. Mi Book did it. Boyu does it. Kobo does it. Tons of manufacturers use active capacitive pens. I don't personally like them, but it is what it is. It is a very plasticky feel. It's not very grippy. It's very slippery on the screen. It's not quite like you're drawing on an iPad or a piece of glass that is significantly more smooth, but this one almost feels like you're writing on like a Kindle Scribe or just the screen of a Kindle Paperwhite, if anything. It's not very squeaky. It's not very rubbery. It's just a hard kind of plasticky feel. So with the feel out of the way, let's see what you can do. You have layers, tons of different layers. In fact, if you click that, you have up to 5 layers plus the template layer. That's really nice. You can just add them, you can move them up and down, you can lock them so you can't affect them, etc. You get pen, pencil, brush, ball pen, highlight, and erase. You can also erase using the buttons on there, so you get secondary and tertiary buttons. The writing pressure sensitivity is there, but not to a huge degree, surprisingly. So if I do line width like that and I write really light on the screen or really heavy on the screen, the differentiation between light and heavy isn't that big, because when you use Wacom, you get 4096 levels of pressure sensitivity. I don't know the exact count on something like an active capacitive, but it is less than that, to the point where you don't have as wide of a spread between them. So if you press those secondary buttons, you see you can erase on the fly. I always like that about active capacitive pens. Like Kobo does that really well, and Sony did that really well, or Fujitsu with the first gen. They have the buttons on the side, so you just kind of like you don't have to really break immersion when you're writing, so that's a little bit of an advantage. Some Wacom pens have that, but honestly, Mitsubishi, Stadler, Pilot, just you name it. A lot of them don't do the secondary button for some reason. Even Onyx has gravitated away from that, discontinuing the only 2 pens that actually had the buttons on the side, and they've opted for the button at the back, which is just the reverse polarity of the Wacom digitizer, and they just allow you to erase using a real eraser, so that's cool. Now you do have lasso as well, so you grab that, lasso it, move it around, you can stretch it, you can copy it, you can paste it, you can cut it, etc. You have toolbar. Toolbar opens off and on the toolbar. You have zoom, although you can pinch and zoom, and you have canvas. Canvas, you can stretch the canvas any which way. You can trim it, you can go 2x2, 1x1, etc. There's a decent amount of options here. Honestly, it's a little bit small. You can see it's the length of the pen. It's actually shorter than the length of the pen if you include the tip. So it's not a lot of screen real estate, but you know what? It is a budget device. They have no shortage of units in their lineup. In fact, Bigme has 10 current units in their lineup for 2023. So that's enough. They need to continue a device like this that comes in at a significantly low price point that gets 300 ppi note taking in your pocket for as cheap as possible. I don't write very nice, but it's just an exhibition of what it feels like to write on this. It's a very wooden experience when it comes to the writing, although there's not really major problems with latency. You get the side button, which is incredibly convenient, 2 of them in fact, and if you run out of juice, you don't have to charge it like a Sony or like a Kobo, etc. You just swap the battery out. So there's tons of advantages within the realm of active capacitive. It not being Wacom, you have to throw out the fact that it isn't Wacom. So within the realm of active capacitive pens, or capatinance, as I believe they say here, capatinance, yes. So in the realm of that, it actually has quite a bit of merits. When it comes to ebook readers that have Android, there is no better benefit to your unit than Google Play. It doesn't matter what your opinion is, doesn't matter what your thinking is, it is an objective fact that Google Play is completely invaluable. Any app you want, any game you want, any books you want, any ebook, manga, audiobooks, genre, top selling, anything you want is on Google Play. We're not necessarily advocating for them, but it's just an indisputable fact that these guys have everything you need. Moon Plus Reader, Aldeco. You can download Amazon and Kobo and Barnes & Noble, all 3 of them on here, and use them to your heart's content. Any ecosystem you want. You see, we have Kindle on here right now. We have OneNote. We have Google Play Books. We have WeChat. There's literally no boundaries when it comes with that. We're also the latest possible Android version on ePaper, so anything you are going to download is going to work, and as you see, it is all very quick. There's no real delays or hindrances whatsoever. The only delay that you're going to have is dependent on what mode you're on, and the only hindrance you're going to have is the fact that there's no color. So when you play Royal Match, well, that's not really going to work because you don't know which ones are the green gems or the blue gems aside from shapes, but that's just an example when you don't have color. But they have plenty of devices in their lineup with color. In fact, Bigme has the most color devices of any manufacturer. That is an engraved in stone fact. Last thing we're going to do before we wrap up is check out video. SD card enabled, 300 ppi, and physical page turn buttons makes this a compact entry-level note-taking unit. However, it's still rocking that active capacitive pen, not a whole lot different than the Pocket Note 7, and an average battery. You know what though? There weren't too many cons to this unit, as Bigme is notorious for fully loading their devices in terms of specs and features. Having everything you could ask for from a functionality level results in mostly positives, and for sub $300, honestly, you're not really gonna have anything to gripe about. For GoodyReader.com, thanks for watching.